are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to the RISMedia ACE webinar series. My name is Cleve Gaddis. I am one of the coaches with Workman Success Systems. I'm very excited to be with you today, and we welcome you again to the RISMedia ACE webinar series. The feedback that I've heard on these webinars so far in 2017 has really been outstanding. Seems to me that a lot of people who attend get a lot of good information, things they're able to put to use in their business almost immediately that makes a difference, hopefully, in their results. And so I want to say thank you to RISMedia for all of their effort in scheduling and coordinating the guests and everything that needs to be done in order to make these a reality. I also want to start out with a special thanks to the sponsor of this particular webinar, which is the Entrust Group. And we will hear from a representative of Entrust Group in just a few minutes. I want to remind you or tell you, if you haven't been on one of these before, that you need to stay on all the way through to the end. We've got 3 different speakers. Each one of those speakers is providing some free tools or samples of what they're using in their business for success. And at the end of the webinar, we'll give you the link to be able to go in and access that information free of charge. If you're listening and you have any questions, you should have a questions bar. We just got a question, for example, from Nicholas, who wants to know, will this recording be sent to participants afterwards? And the answer is yes. If you have a question, please type your question in. I'll do the best I can to monitor those questions and to get them answered during the webinar. Also, the goal is at the end for us to have 5 minutes or so for you to be able to ask questions directly of the speakers. I'll communicate those questions to them and try our best to get you answers. Again, my name is Cleve Gaddis. I am trying to change slides here. There we go. I'm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. In addition to being a Workman Success Systems coach, I'm also a team leader of a team here in the state of Georgia. So I do just about what each one of you do every single day. I'm out selling real estate and figuring out how to make deals work. We've got Patrick Hagan on with us today. He's the Regional Business Development Manager for the Entrust Group. He specializes in helping investors understand retirement plan investment options, including offering insight into IRA and 401k investments in real estate. He also hosts live presentations and teaches continuing education courses throughout the country. Patrick, we appreciate you being on with us today, and thank you for sponsoring.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
If you don't mind, let you take just a couple of minutes and tell everybody a little bit about Entrust Group and what you do.
Yes, sir. We are a kind of a niche business in the retirement plan industry. We do what's called self-directed retirement plan. So we hold things that other companies, like banks and brokerage companies, generally do not want to hold, namely things like investment real estate, private stock, LLCs, private notes, things of that nature. So people come to us with their retirement plan money and then self-direct that money into things like rental property or land or condos or different real estate investment trusts or different things of that nature, and we serve as IRA administrator holding those assets. And it's all allowed because we only do what's called self-directed retirement plans. So the client controls what they want to do. We're basically a facilitator that does what they tell us to do when they tell us to do it, and that situation allows us to hold things that other companies like Schwab and Merrill Lynch and Fidelity generally don't like to hold. So it opens the door to pretty much anything the IRS allows, which includes investment real estate as opposed to just a standard stocks, bonds, and mutual funds.
So, and I know we probably won't have a whole lot of time to get into it today, but it sounds like a real estate investor, for example, could buy some investment rental real estate inside their IRA. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right. That's what our clients do. And most of the folks that come on board with us, they know what they want to do. We work with a lot of real estate investors or real estate agents. They know how real estate works. Basically what they're missing is an IRA provider that's willing to hold that as an asset through the IRA or 401k. What you'll find is that most of the limitations that people feel they have with their retirement plan investment options come from the institution, not from the IRS. The IRS is pretty flexible. They don't care if you buy real estate or if you buy mutual funds. The missing component is the company that's willing to hold a retirement plan and allow for real estate to be included. And that's what we do, and that's what we have done for over 35 years as a self-directed IRA provider.
Got it. Got it. Well, thank you very much again for sponsoring. Feel free to chime in during the rest of the webinar if you want to, if you have any thoughts or comments. We've got two special guests on with us who specialize in working with high net worth clients. And I don't know if you feel the same way I do, but sometimes I feel like, man, I'd like to, sell a few more $1.5 million deals or $1 million deals. It's amazing. A $1 million deal pays you about 3 times what a $300,000 deal does. But Julie Toon Timms is broker in charge of Hilton Head Island Real Estate Brokers. She's built her firm from one agent with about $60,000 in commission to a team of 9 and growing agents with over $1 million in gross commission income. She's a 30-year veteran in the industry and has numerous designations, ABR, CRS, ePro, and GRI. Julie, I appreciate you being on with us today. We also are going to have Anthony Margulis, and I apologize. Anthony, I figured I was going to butcher that all day long, and I've been worried about it. That's why that's why I mispronounced it, and I apologize. But Anthony, if you don't mind, you're going to go second. We'll go ahead and get started. Excuse me, you're going first. I apologize, Anthony. I told you were going to be going second. But Anthony, let me give just a little introduction for you. He is the owner of Amalfi Estates in Los Angeles, California. He sold close to $1 billion worth of real estate in his career. He's ranked 60 out of 1 million agents by the Wall Street Journal and has been profiled in several outlets, including Consumer Reports and Los Angeles Times. Did about $140 million in sales volume last year, $2.7 million in GCI. And in preparation for the webinar, I asked Anthony about how big he expected his team to get, and he said about $400 million a year. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I can't even comprehend that type of sales volume. So, Anthony, we are delighted to have you on with us today.
Thank you, Cleve. I'm glad to be here.
You've got some specific things that you like to do, and one of the first things is your giving program. So I'll turn it over to you and let you tell everybody a little bit about what you're up to.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, and I'm glad for all the people on the call who took the time to learn about it. There's going to be some great ideas. Julie's going to be fantastic, and we're excited to have you on the program with us, Julie, as well. So I'll just start right into it. You're welcome, Julie. One of the things that we do, and I think it's a unique thing that really helps differentiate ourselves and really give back to the community. So we have a 10% giving program. So after every home sale, 10% of the commission is given to one of 5 charities that we let our client pick. We have American Cancer Society and Make-A-Wish and SBCA and a couple other charities. And what we found is it's a great bonding for the client, and especially on the high-end clients. A lot of them are very active in charities and in charitable giving, and they're on charitable boards. And I think they can connect and realize the type of person that's going to give back is probably something that a type of agent that they would want to work with. The real purpose, the giving must be absolutely pure. I mean, a lot of people will say that they want to give, but it really has to come from the heart, and your clients will really resonate with that if it's truly done, for the right reasons.
So, Anthony,
this is helpful. Yeah.
Anthony, what do you mean by that? Because it'd be easy to pick 2 or 3 charities and to genuinely be interested. But I assume what you're saying is, you got to be giving the money because you really, really, really want to help, and you got to be involved and all of that kind of stuff. So what do you mean by you got to be genuinely interested?
You have to be all in. So what we started with, we had the client pick unlimited number of charities, and then we decided to focus on just 5 charities to make a more impactful difference. So when I say all in, it means going to their events, really being committed, putting the time in, whether it's yourself or your staff, or if you have buyer's agents or sales partners on your team, and really owning it. Don't just go through the motions. So we've been very active with this charitable giving for the last 3 years. This picture was taken last month with one of our sales partners, Cody, on the left, and they donated, I think it was around $11,000 just on one sale transaction to the American Cancer Society. And we met with their representatives, and they were very excited, and we were able to do that.
And so how many choices do you give your buyer and seller clients now of charities to participate in, to donate to?
Yeah, we have 5 charities that we've decided, one for health, one for kids, one for pets, one for homelessness, and then a local charity. And we let the client pick, and it's really been amazing how it develops a closer relationship with your client, because you're talking to them and they'll tell a story about maybe their relative had cancer, or maybe they're really close with their pet who just passed away. So it bonds you on a much deeper level. I mean, we already are bonding with our clients because we're helping them buy and sell homes, but actually doing the charity aspect, I really encourage, if any of you on the call are even thinking about it, to seriously consider doing something like this.
Interesting. And did I notice on the prior slide that you've donated in excess of $400,000?
Yes, my wife won't be happy to hear that, but yes, we've given getting close to $500,000, and that's in the past 3 years alone. So my goal each year, we've been growing our team. So this year we're on track for about $200,000, and then next year will be $250,000. Ultimately, I'd like to be giving about $500,000 a year away to these 5 charities.
Wow. Real quickly, one attendee is asking, will these slides be available at the end of the presentation? And I'm not sure that each one of the individual slides will be available, but I do know that RISMedia publishes a YouTube video of each one of these webinars, and the entire webinar, everything you're seeing now, will be recorded and in that video, so you can certainly access it after. So let's talk, Anthony, sales partners, not buyer's agents. What does that mean? We all have buyer's agents. Everybody needs a buyer's agent.
Yeah, everyone does need a buyer's agent. What we found is, and we did have buyer's agents, and we still do have buyer's agents. It's just how we call them and how they're viewed. So what we found is by introducing to our high-end clients our team as a sales partner as opposed to a buyer's agent, the credibility and the respect is given a lot higher. A buyer's agent, not that buyer's agents are great. They're doing the same role. It's just how we're representing them to the client.
And so it's really just how you're referring to them. So you're referring to them as someone who is maybe more of an equal to you as a partner, and not necessarily someone who is inferior to you from a status level. Is that?
That's correct. Right? Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I think the minute you talk to a high-end client, and we work with a lot of high-end clients and a lot of executives and CEOs and athletes and celebrities, and when you're introducing someone as your sales partner, whether it's going through the contracts, whether it's showing the properties, there's just it's a lot easier. If you want to take off a weekend, spend time with your family, it's harder to talk to your high-end client that you're taking off and your buyer's agent's going to be covering for you. At least that's been our experience. So it's just a different, everyone has different titles, and we found the sales partner has been very effective with that from a branding perspective.
Now, if my understanding is correct, 2 or 3 years ago, it was just you and a couple of administrative staff people, client care coordinators, whatever you call them, but you've added sales partners working with buyers, possibly helping you bring in seller business as well. And it sounds to me like you're doing it like a team that would work with, 250 or 300,000. Now, we don't necessarily need to get into splits and the fees and stuff like that, but what difficulties have you had in hiring agents to be team agents working in this high dollar area?
Yeah, so you're correct, Cleve. So approximately a little over a year ago, it was myself and 2 assistants, and I was fortunate I was able to close $140 million in production. The goal was we were turning down a lot of business, and so we needed to grow our team, and hence the growth in the picture that you see. They're fantastic people. We're very, very picky of who we choose, and they have to be really in alignment with our core values, and they have to be in alignment with the giving the 10% to charity, and just really presenting that professional image and ethical image that we all have based on our core values.
Excellent. Talk about branding. That was one of the things you said was really key in attracting and working with high net worth clients. Give us some details there.
Sure. So what we've been able to do is the right is a cover of the magazine. One of our branding things that we're known for in our community is that we like taking the cover of the magazine, and that's one of our listings that we had on the right. It was a very cool architectural home.
Wow.
What we found is, I mean, if you're going to try and get into the luxury market, you really need to start stepping up on the advertising and something unique and different. So the magazine on the left is something that we've put out, and that's the Luxury Living News. It's a newsletter, like basically a newspaper, and it gets mailed and dropped off to every home in our community, and just talks about things having to do with a lot of the luxury sales and what the market's doing. I think in general it's important, obviously, when you're trying to branch out from whatever your current price range is, there's a lot of intimidation. People think, well, if I'm selling X amount of a price range now and the high end in your market maybe 2 or 3 times that, it's easy to be intimidated. I recommend just increasing your average sales price by 20% a year and chart it and graph it. And what you do is eventually you'll get to a higher price range, but don't try and do it overnight. I just think it's much easier just doing a gradual increase and really being aware of it. And at the same time, update your wardrobe, your car, your website, so it's all in alignment with that high-end or more luxury marketplace.
And are you saying that you need to drive an extremely expensive car and wear $1,000 suits, or are you saying you need to just step it up a little bit?
Yeah, I think you need to dress how your clients are going to dress. So if we're showing properties in Malibu, you can't be caught dead wearing a tie and a coat in Malibu. So it depends where your clientele is. If you're working with people in the entertainment industry, you may be a little bit more casual. It really depends, who they are. But you definitely, if you're going to be around venture capital and investment bankers and CEOs and they're wearing $1,000 suits, then I would recommend you definitely get a $1,000 suit.
You and Julie both consider one of the real keys to working with high net worth clients really having a good understanding of the numbers. Talk to us about what that means to you and how you make sure that you're leading the charge or you're being out in front of your seller and buyer clients in terms of understanding the numbers.
Sure. I love the numbers, and so it's easy for me. I know a lot of agents may not feel as comfortable with the numbers, but if they're not, to hire someone that is. A lot of times at the high end, if the client's not into the numbers, their business manager, their attorney, their accountant, someone who's an advisor to them is going to want to know the numbers because they're trying to protect their client's investments. So whether it's a high-end athlete, whether it's a high-end celebrity, knowing your numbers inside and out. So this is a chart here. There's a lot of data here, but it's basically comparing year over year for the median price, the average price, and the cost per square foot for our area. So you can see the average price as of last year was about $3.5 million in our marketplace. Don't get thrown by the numbers. It's really looking at don't get thrown by the dollar pricing. It's really what the market's doing and understanding it, where the market peaked, and looking at trends so you can explain as a financial consultant whether it's a good time to buy, whether it's a good time to sell.
Now, I would imagine a lot of people listening would think it's probably hard to get someone who maybe has a net worth of, $10 million or something like that to be reasonable and realistic in terms of pricing their home. But are you able to influence people to do the right things based on your understanding of the market?
Yeah, knowledge is power, and I know that's an overused phrase, but when you know the numbers as well as any other broker in your marketplace, then when you sit down and you're meeting with a seller to list their high-end property, you have the data behind you, and it really comes down to confidence. So the person you're talking to is probably an expert in their field. It may be in medicine, it may be in law, it may be in business, but they're not an expert in residential real estate. And so when you bring to the table the confidence that you can explain to your client why it should be priced what it should be, or if they're a buyer and you're looking to purchase a luxury home, having that same confidence, they really respect it. I've rarely had a situation, it happens occasionally, but if you have the numbers behind you, it really, really helps.
And really, when you think about it, that's not something that is unique just in the high-end market. It should work everywhere. The more you know the numbers,
Yeah,
the better you should be able to influence your clients in a positive way.
correct. And I think, too, for credibility, writing an article in your local paper, we've done that quite a bit. And I think when high-end clients see that you're in the paper and you've written articles, if you can be a guest lecturer at your local university for the real estate classes, everything you can do there will really add credibility to reaching that market.
And are you just writing general articles about the state of the market, just general market updates?
Yeah, well, the nice thing about it is papers need content, and they're constantly looking for good articles. So I have a lot of articles I just write, and the nice thing about it is you can direct the articles. So if you want to write an article in your marketplace about the most expensive sale in your marketplace, even if you didn't sell it, that's a valuable, or maybe the most expensive sale in your state, and then you get an article written about it. Or what luxury buyers are looking for in your area. There's always, every year there's new finishes, there's new features that people are looking for. And if you're writing the articles about luxury real estate and a luxury buyer or seller reads it, you're automatically, by default, considered an expert in that area.
Interesting. So even if someone doesn't have confidence to think that a newspaper might be interested in what they have to say and write, they might find it's different if they just write a couple articles and send them in, huh?
Yeah, the best thing you could do is get very, very friendly with the local publisher. They need you as much as you need them. And obviously advertise a little bit in there because they need the advertising dollars. But if you have good articles and you hit your timelines, and whenever they say they need an article last minute, you're there, then it's free publicity. So I highly recommend it.
Love it. Let's talk next about networking, and I want to sort of set the stage before you get started talking, because as you and I discussed this a few days ago, most of my ideas about networking are sort of a very selfish arrangement. Everybody's looking for something in particular, but what you're talking about with networking is really something very different. So give us the details on that.
Sure. The key with networking, it's very similar with the key to charitable giving. You don't go to a networking group with the goal of getting business. You go to a networking group with the goal of giving business. And you have to have a complete mind shift of how can I give everyone in that room or everyone in my networking group as much business as I possibly can. And when you do that, business will come. So it's just a different way to look at things when you're going to a social event, a networking group, things of that nature.
Awesome. Sponsorships and boards. I know this is something that's important to you as well.
Yeah. So we sponsor, if you're going to get into the high end and you want to network, definitely, this is a local polo tournament that we've been sponsoring for the past 15 years or so. And I highly recommend getting involved, whether it's polo, whether it's a high-end car show, whether it's a golf tournament, also joining a local maybe art museum or the symphony, I think would be really, really important to do, and you'll meet some great people.
Now, do you pick stuff that you happen to like, or are you only picking stuff that you think will get you access to the right people?
I think it's both, but I think you have to really like it. Once again, you got to be genuine about it, Cleve. I think it's really important to, if they see you're just joining just to meet people, once again, I think it's going to be hollow. So I think you really need to, if it's a local charity board, if you're into art, joining an art board, I think there's a huge benefit. But yeah, definitely you have to. It's very helpful if your heart's in it as well.
Excellent. I've got a sheet of paper in front of me that's from a high-end marketing association here in the United States, and they have all kinds of tools for doing stealth research about people and determining who you're going to market. And it seems like what they have is a bunch of tools that are designed to make it sound like it's easy to get in and network with high net worth people. And if you just have access to these tools, that you're going to have access to them. But I haven't heard you mention anything that's easy. What I've heard you say is, you got to be concerned with what they care about, and you got to get in there and get involved. And to me, that's very interesting, because there's no gimmicks in what you do. There's no easy ways to do it. You give the time and you get in and you meet the people that ultimately someday you hope to work with.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Cleve. I know a lot of people will say you can buy lists of people that are high net worth individuals, and you can send mailers and emails to them. But I haven't found that's the easy or successful way to go about it. And this last screen, really it just goes back to confidence about they need your expertise more than you think. Once again, when you're talking to someone who has a net worth of 10 million, 100 million, maybe they're a billionaire, the reality is they still know significantly less about real estate than you do. And once you can sit down and educate them of your knowledge and how you can help them, they'll treat you like one of their trusted advisors, and that's really the key. So I think just going into it and knowing that you're the expert and they're not the expert, even though they have a lot more money behind them.
You know, that is such an interesting concept, because I would imagine that most people listening probably think the same way I think, and that is if somebody's worth $100 million, I'm going to seem fairly insignificant to them, and maybe that's not the case. So, Anthony, great information. Thank you very, very much. Let's
You're very welcome.
Turn our attention to Julie. As I mentioned before, and by the way, speaking of someone with a net worth of $100 million, here's Julie Timms. Hey, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice, Julie? I mean, it would be nice. I'd love it. Again, Julie's from Hilton Head, runs a team on Hilton Head Islands, grown from 60,000 in GCI up to about $1 million. You're dealing with a lot of, I would assume, non-occupants, meaning people coming in and buying investment property. So let's, you say that they're just like we are. I don't believe you. Prove it.
Well, you know what? Everybody gets up and puts their pants on one leg at a time. Okay, these people are not any different than anybody else. They just have been more successful, and they have a different mindset. Yes, as far as what they want, because if they had the same mindset as everybody else, then you know, they wouldn't be where they are today. But many of them, if not all of them, have families, they have dreams, they have desires, they have things they like to do for fun, and they're just real people.
Interesting.
So how would that be different?
Well, and so how do you use that to help you interact with them? Are you using that to not be intimidated when you first meet them? Or, I mean, how does that help you to remember that?
Well, there's no point in being intimidated by anybody unless they got a gun in your face and want your wallet, you know. So people are just people, and what we do is you talk to people and you understand them and what their goals are as a human being. Don't just throw up all over them and tell them how wonderful you are and how great you are and how great you're going to be and how much you can do for them. Sit down, listen to them, what they want, and then slowly but surely you can answer their questions and ask them questions so that they know you know what they're talking about.
And did it take you a little while to, yes, did it take you a little while to learn this, or did you sort of get it right out of the gate with working with the higher net worth crowd?
Well, no, it's something learned over time, because, you know, when you start your sales career, you're taught the tie-down clothes and the alternate of choice and all this other stuff that you do. But, you know, after a while, and the more confidence that you build and the more success you've had, you come to certain realizations. And you just have to build relationships with people, you know, and like I said before, get to know them. Because they really don't care what you know till they know what you care, that you care. I mean, that's a cliche that's been used in the real estate business over and over again, but it's really, really true. And if you are going, oh man, I got a big one now, I'm going to make me some money, okay, they're going to smell that commission breath a mile away, and they're not going to want to deal with you, because all they see themselves as a paycheck for you, and that you don't care about them. And I guess I read a book one time, and I don't know how many people have read this book. It's an awesome book. It's called The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. And throughout that book, there are some scrolls to live your life. And a lot of those have helped me come to realize that everybody is their own individual. And when they like and they trust people, and you don't rise to drama and you don't become intimidated, you just realize that they're real people, then you can build a relationship. And it's all about relationships. Now, of course, you have to know what you're doing, and you've got to be right there and be knowledgeable and know your inventory and know your numbers and everything like that. But unless you really listen, and listen to, not to listen to respond, but to listen to understand and respond accordingly, then you're going to get a lot further in life.
I mean, it sounds like you're saying really the same thing Anthony was saying, is you really just need to set up a program where you invest in them before you expect them to invest in you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and just not so much invest in them. Well, I guess invest your time.
Yeah, just minute time. That's right.
But really, yeah. But you know, but put yourself in their shoes. If you were them, or you were they, I should say, what would you want? How would you respond if somebody came across to you in a different way than what you wanted? How would you respond?
Makes sense. I mean, and ultimately, if you were treating me in a way I didn't like to be treated, it probably would be the last time you and I would be together talking about real estate.
Correct. They would be polite, they'd be nice, and then they'd never call you again, and they would see you call on caller ID and put you on the spam block.
So let's talk now about the DISC profile. I know a lot of people use it and are familiar with it, but tell us just a little bit about what it is, and then how in the heck would you use something like this with a high net worth client?
Well, the DISC profile is just a way of helping understand how people think. We basically have 4 different types of folks. All right, you have the real direct people who they just can make a decision. Just give me the bullet points and let me make a decision. I don't care how to build a clock. I want to know what time it is. They can go into, you can come to your real estate office and say, okay, show me 2 and I'll pick 1. Okay, they're very direct. They very know what they want. And then you have the influencer, the I folks, and they love to, they're just the life of the party. They walk in, they have a lot of fun, they care what other people think, they want to impress other folks, and in conversations you hear them say, did I tell you I did this, and I want to do that, well, in my opinion, and I think, you know, a lot of times they come up that way. The S is a sure and steady individual. In fact, most of the people are sure and steady, and they care about, well, I can't really tell them that, because if I tell them that, they might think worse of me, and I want my family to be safe. I care about the schools that are going to be around here. I just want everybody to be happy. And a C individual, they are, you know, they want to calculate everything. That's your engineers. They're the ones that want the spreadsheets and the charts and the graphs and the 12-year average electricity bill. Accountants, things of that nature. And why this is important and why you use it is back to what I said, is understanding the folks that you're dealing with, or you're trying to help. I don't even want to say dealing with, because that sounds like you're trying to fight them. But the people that you want to help and give advice and counsel, you know, if you go into a D personality and you start showing them charts and graphs, they're going to have to read all that stuff, and they're going to lose patience with you really fast. Whereas if you come in and just start barking or start, you know, giving bullet points to somebody that wants to know all the detailed information, they don't think you know what you're talking about, because you can't prove it to them.
You just full of hot air. Full of hot air.
That's right. So that's why it's important. Now, is this the only way you treat people? And do you judge them right away as being a D or an I or an S or C? No, you don't. This is about a 25% of what you need to do to envelop them, their goals, and their families, because you need to be a chameleon somewhat. And by being a chameleon, I don't mean you need to change for every person, but people like to deal with people who they like and they trust and who can relate to them. So if you start relating to people in the way they want to be related to, then you're just that much more of someone they want to work with.
So as an example, if I lived in the Los Angeles area, I would probably love to have Anthony be a client of mine. And of everyone who was on the webinar before we actually started the webinar, I would say that Anthony is the highest in the C category. And Anthony, Julie, if you remember, was the one who, it was very important to him that we start on time. It's time to start, guys. Let's go. It's time to start. It's time to go. Which means if I was working with Anthony and I showed up late for our appointment 2 or 3 times, Anthony, how well would that go over with you?
Not too well.
So even if I wasn't perfect in every way, I need to be accurate in order to deal with you. And Julie, that is such interesting information, because we don't think about how important that kind of stuff is. But boy, we sure can turn people off if we're not dealing with them the way they need to be dealt with. Let's talk about the image. Anthony talked about it earlier. You've got it also as well. Give us some tips there.
Well, you might be perceived as how you show up. People like to, Anthony just pegged it. People like to work with people who are successful. If you show up with a dirty car, and you don't necessarily have to have a Mercedes or a BMW or anything like that, but you need to have a sizable, clean car. I was with somebody looking at property one time when we were buying a house, and we got into the front seat of her car, and I was like going, here, let me move this. And, you're driving down the street, she slammed on the brakes, and all these tennis balls and Coke cans came out from under the seat, and I couldn't wait to get out of her car. It's not that I'm a snob, I'm really not, but it's, on the other hand, I just, I was like, it was the impression that I had, plus the picture that she had. When I got there, I said, "Is your daughter here?" But it was actually her. So the way you present yourself in advertising, the way you present yourself, your car needs to be clean and tidy and spacious. You need to be clean and tidy, and you need to meet people. Like, we're on Hilton Head Island. A lot of people are on vacation. If I showed up with pearls and dress and stockings and everything, and high heels, with somebody that was, just off the tennis court or off the golf course, they would feel uncomfortable. Whereas I recognize who I'm with and make them feel as comfortable as I can.
But you're not saying if everybody else drives $75,000 cars, you need to. Sounds to me like you're saying you just need to remember who you're dealing with, and you need to present yourself in the best light. And if right now you're driving a $25,000 car, make sure it's clean, take it through the car wash, nice and organized. By the way, is the picture on the right there, is that the Ace?
Yeah, it looks pretty good, huh? Yeah, get your dog in there.
You would definitely want to get the heck out of that car for sure.
Well, yeah, and it just understand who you're dealing with. That's all, and have the right image.
So as we were preparing for this presentation, you mentioned that it was very important to know your numbers as well, and you have a little bit of a different spin on it. So what do you mean by knowing the numbers, at least knowing enough to be able to help your clients?
Well, it's really similar for buyers and for sellers, but when properly pricing a property, the sellers really need to see how their property fits into the marketplace. How long will it take to sell? What will make the difference as far as, okay, if you list it at overvalue, undervalue, right on the value? And people like to know the numbers. People who are that are luxury clients, they didn't get to be luxury clients unless they just won the lottery by making poor financial decisions. And one of the things that you need to do is you tell them, you give them the information, but then you back it up with real numbers. And when you back it up with real numbers, then people can see whether it's a seller who you're trying to properly price a market with 5 years worth of inventory, or if it's a buyer who's trying to make an offer on something that wants to lowball somebody, or actually there's not many that want to pay too much, believe me, but that want to lowball somebody, and you can show them why the market is here and why they're not going to take that, and you don't need to start out insulting somebody because they're not going to be as easy to deal with because they're not going to take you seriously. A picture's worth 1,000 words, and numbers, and they don't lie.
Interesting. And so it sounds like you and Anthony both use tools that are in addition to what your local listing service would provide. Is that correct for both of you?
I do.
Yes, I do as well.
You need to get your own number. You need to understand the numbers, and sometimes the multiple listing service is limited on what you can do. Not only do you go, we go to a different service to provide some numbers, but we also just hand do some numbers because not everything fits into a box.
So we got a listener question, basically says, Julie, don't some of the clients you have sort of have attitudes, and that's in quotation marks, that you have to be flexible with and figure out how to deal with them?
Well, bless their hearts. You know, some people just think that they're hot shots, okay? But you know what? You can break down the barrier of anybody once you find out what's causing that barrier to begin with. Okay, some people, if you look at real estate industry as a whole, where are we? We're down there with you know, on the bottom rung. It's way too easy to get into this business. It's way too easy to get out of this business. A lot of people fail at this business, and a lot of people have had, and this is what I'm talking about, a lot of people have had a bad experience with a real estate agent, not a real estate professional, but a real estate agent. So a lot of people's attitude is they have their hand on their wallet when they start talking to you. How many people do you call up that they're like ready to get off the phone immediately? You know, they've called and inquired on something, and they just want to get the information and get rid of you, because that's the perception that they've had over time. And you know, I've had people be real ugly to me, and I had one guy hang up one time, and I called him back and I said, what have I done to upset you so much? And I was kind, and I said, or did my cell phone shut off? I just can't understand this. And so I broke that ice a little bit, and I just say, tell me more about you. Tell me more about your family. What are you going to do with this once it's yours? If you had a magic wand, I can't use the magic wand with a D. If I use the magic wand with a D, he'd hit me with it. But you know, if you had a magic wand and you could just tell me what you want, what would that be? What would that look like? And people go, oh, wow, okay, well, this is what it would be. And then I ask questions with the base of knowledge that I have, so that I'm not asking stupid questions. I'm asking the questions that relate to what they're thinking already. And then they know that I'm listening to them instead of just trying to get their money into my pocket.
And when you ask a question about something they're already thinking about, boy, doesn't that connect you to them even further?
It absolutely does. And when you can identify with them, and I'm just trying to think of an example right now, you know, of what it is. Like, for example, we had some folks that had a boat, and they were just calling, they wanted a place to moor the boat, and I said, well, what kind of boat do you have? What does it draw? What's the beam? And I started asking questions related to boats, and then I started saying, well, you don't want to go here because you're not going to get it through the lock, or, you know, it's going to be real tight to turn it around in that harbor, but this one over here could be better. They're like, whoa, she knows what she's talking about. And not that you have to be an expert on drafts of boats, but you have to know what they want, because they want to put their boat in their front yard, and they weren't going to do it at what they were looking at, and I helped them find something else.
I love it. I love it. You got to be the expert. Talk about the tools you use. You've got Matterport camera here, and then Terradatum, which I think is where you got the data we provided on the last slide. Talk to us about that.
Well, the Matterport camera is really a pretty cool camera, and it's becoming more and more popular. It's the 3D camera, but it's a great tool for the job. I mean, if you go with just a regular camera, whether it be, I see a lot of cell phone cameras, digital cameras, you hire a professional photographer, but these are 3D cameras where people can actually walk through a house. And we have actually invested in one of these cameras that we can use, and not only do we use this for our listings, but if we have a buyer that would like to see the house, and what we'll do is we'll go out and we'll take a picture, do a 3D of the house. So, and we've had several of them buy them sight unseen, or fly in specifically to see these houses, just based on what they've seen. Because for someone to, to stop their busy life, if they really see something that, if they're here on vacation and they're planning a trip or something like that, that's fine. But if they're over somewhere and they see it pop up over the internet and they say, gosh, I can't get to Hilton Head, I'd really like to see this, and we have no problem in sending somebody on our staff to map out the house. But it just shows the true proportions of the house, and it also gets in those tight spots and goes all the way around where, small powder rooms or something like that, all you get is a picture of the toilet, if you just took a picture.
And you own the camera, and then you have staff that helps you with the videos. You don't hire somebody else to do it.
We have a staff to do that because we see it through a buyer's eyes. What we found is there's a lot of folks that will just go out there and and take the pictures, but if the pictures don't look right, we want to get them right the first time. So we tend to do that, and we have a staff member who loves gadgets, and so that's one of the things he does too.
Let me, if you don't mind, I'm going to slip a question in here from an attendee. When you're advertising your homes, and this would be for you too, Anthony, when you're advertising your homes to buyers, how do high-end clients view videos of the homes? Where do they access those videos?
Well,
Julie,
yeah, I mean, I'll go first, and then Anthony can go. I mean, they through our multiple listing service, these videos, these 3Ds are on the virtual tour, and there's always a virtual tour button on several of the sites that they can do that. You can publish them to YouTube, and and that's somebody that calls cold. If somebody doesn't call cold or one of our clients, we just send it to them directly with a link.
Anthony, how about you?
Yeah, no, we're the same way. Any internet connection can access the videos. We're starting to do a lot more virtual reality for the higher end listings, just to kind of separate ourselves, and that's kind of fun. So.
Do you hire somebody to do those videos for you, and then do you offer like the goggles, glasses, whatever you put your phone in for people at your office?
Yeah, I learned a long time ago, even though we can do some things good, there's other people that can do that stuff better. So every one of our properties, we have a video, drone, videographer, everything's done. And I know we probably could do it ourselves, but we wouldn't do it as good.
Julie, one of the listeners, attendees, says commission breath is hilarious.
Well, it's true. Think about it. It's like garlic breath, but it's commission breath. People can smell it a mile off.
One of the attendees wants to know how they can learn more about the market analysis, and I'm not sure if that was directed at Anthony or Julie, but any suggestions there where they could learn more about how you get a better understanding of the market?
Well, I'll go with that. There is a designation that you can get in the designation course, the Certified Luxury Home Marketing Specialist, and they have a great program that taught and some great statistics. That's where I really learned the benefit of them, because I'm not a C-type individual, and I was going, well, what's with all the numbers? I mean, I can just show them what it sold for and all that stuff, and then I realized that I was talking out of both sides of my mouth, not knowing. So I took that course, and that was good. We also used Teradata, and they gave us a nice webinar on that. But Excel spreadsheets, you can import information, and you can change that information. But I defer to Anthony because he's much better at that than I
No, I have the designation as well from the Luxury Institute, and I think it's a great program as well. I just because I love data, I took all the raw data from the MLS and I imported it into my own spreadsheets. But I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. But it allowed me to really know and understand the numbers better. So when I'm talking to someone, I feel confident that I know the data better than anyone else.
Love it. Hey, Julie, let's talk about how you keep in touch.
Oh, well, first of all, what I do is I have a lot of lead generation systems and things like that, but I also use Top Producer. And I put everybody that I have a meaningful conversation with in Top Producer, and every time I talk to them, I write the notes of what I've talked to them, and then I set the next time that I'm going to talk to them. And I talk to them based on when they need me to talk to them. And I also set them up so they get the information that they want and they need. We send newsletters out every month, or we try to send a newsletter out every month. And when property sells, that like things that they're interested in, I always send stuff like that to them. And anytime they contact me, I am back to them just as quickly as I can be. If I'm in an appointment or something like that, as soon as I get out of the appointment, I check everything. And responding to texts or emails quickly and knowledgeably, I cannot tell you how valuable that is.
So it sounds like your follow-up is really very personal follow-up. It's not a lot of mass email stuff like that. It's all very personal, and that makes sense when you're dealing with that higher net worth buyer that would be something they'd be interested in. Talk about negotiating. You gotta show people that you're one of those on Shark Tank, I guess.
Well, I know about Shark Tank, but what you need to know is that what they need to know is that you know how to negotiate. And there's certain information that you need to gather before you even start your negotiations, and you need to explain to them and answer all their questions and just inform them of things. And they'll know you're a pretty good negotiator after they talk to you for a while and know what you know. And they also see the results of what you do. I mean, it's key to have good results. If you don't have good results yourself, then hopefully your office that you're with will have good results. And as you build those results, be sure that you get testimonials from people and things like that, because people like to hear from third parties, not just from you, about how good you are.
And do you have a specific process you use to encourage people to give you testimonials? Are you calling and asking for them? Are you collecting them on Zillow or other places?
Well, what I do, the folks that work with me that support the admin roles, they send that out automatically. But I have a lot of people that just ask me if they can write one for me, and where can I write them? And I go, oh shucks, thanks, and I show them.
I like it. I like it. So you say you got to know the alternatives, and I assume you're meaning specifically from how in the world are they going to hold the asset? How are they going to pay for it? So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things that I do before we go out and talk to anybody or show anybody any property is make sure they're not only ready and willing, but also able to do that. What we find is that a lot of the high net worth individuals just pay cash. We have an awful lot of cash buyers. They have the cash. They want a good property. Some of them like to leverage just for the tax benefits and just to spread the wealth so they can earn on their other their assets as well as pay the mortgage. And you have to know when you get into a high net worth individual and high priced properties, you need to know you can't just put 5% down and a 30-year conventional mortgage. It just doesn't work, unless they put with 5% down. So you have to set realistic expectations, with different lenders. You need to find out who their lender is and are they able to do things around here. And, the Entrust group with this self-directed IRA, I've had clients that have big IRAs, and their IRA, they will come in and purchase something with cash in their IRA. If they don't have the cash but they still want to buy it in their IRA, they'll go get financing. But the financing, you can't just go down to your local bank and get this financing, because you can't personally guarantee that financing. You have to have what's called non-recourse financing, which means there's no recourse. The property has to support itself. And I'm sure Patrick has some folks that probably, since he does the self-directed IRAs, does that non-recourse financing. But it's really interesting. I was in a class one time. It was a CCIM class several years ago, and there were some guys in there that had used their self-directed IRAs, bought little patches of land, and then made millions of dollars within their IRA, and all that is non-taxable until you start taking it out. So it can be a very, very lucrative thing, a lucrative tool to use. However, you've got to know it. If they're starting to talk about a self-directed IRA, you better know what they're talking about and how the rules work.
Hey, Patrick, do you know people that provide non-recourse financing for loans to SDIRAs?
Yeah, we do. There's only a handful of banks out there, but we've identified who they are, and I would definitely recommend talking to a bank that has some experience with it, because if you walk into your local institution, they probably don't know what you're asking, much less have the ability to give you a non-recourse loan. Recourse is pretty well wrapped into most bank deals, because they look at the deal and then they look at the guarantor, and if they're both strong, they lend the money. In this case, there is no guarantor. There's nobody signing on the dotted line. It's non-recourse. So it is a different type of loan. Typically, you're going to find a requirement of somewhere in the range of 30 to 35% minimum down payment to put the bank in a better loan-to-value position. But yeah, I've got a list, and if you want at the end, I don't know if you have my email, we could disperse it, but I keep a list of banks that I know of that are very familiar with non-recourse loans that lend all over the country. I generally tell my clients to start with that. If they want to go into their local bank or credit union, they can try to get them to figure it out. But my experience is it's better to go with someone that already has the program in place, and that way you're just plugging in something that's there rather than trying to teach the banker what a non-recourse loan is.
Thank you very, very much. And Julie, I'm going to go on to the last slide. I think one of the things you wanted to mention is you got to know how they want to hold it, if it's a corporation or an LLC, and I would assume a title company or closing attorney or somebody in your area could help. So if we had to summarize the 7 secrets to working with high net worth clients, it's you need to care about what they care about. You need to be consistent and keep in touch. You need to know the market. You need to remember they're just regular people too. Have the right tools for the job. You need to advocate for them, and it's really not the gimmicks but the investment of time. I do have a quick question from Ralph, and this is actually for Patrick. Wants to know if Entrust holds oil and gas royalties for clients. I'm not sure I totally understand the question. Maybe you do.
Yeah, we do. We basically can hold anything the IRS allows. When you look at the code, the only thing you can't buy through a retirement plan is collectibles and life insurance. Anything else that's an investment, held for investment purposes, is an option. So most of our clients are buying property or some kind of real estate related asset. We have people that do oil and gas and private stock and private notes and precious metals and a whole different array. It's one of the cool things about my job is seeing what unique, creative people can do with their self-directed retirement plan accounts. But yes, the short answer is we can do that for an account holder that has money moved over to a self-directed account with us.
Great, thanks. Got another listener question. We'll do this real quick. We're another minute, guys, and we'll be finished, maybe 2. Any tips on where to find upcoming trends on high-end homes? Julie?
Trends?
Yeah, upcoming trends. Anthony, Julie?
Well, Anthony, I'll just refer to you on that, but I know that the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing puts out statistics and things like that, but I think it's market it's market central, and go for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's where I was going to direct people as well. Every market's different, whether you're selling in New York or Los Angeles or wherever the high-end market will be. It's so localized, so it's hard to say nationwide what the luxury trend would be. I just think wherever your marketplace is, you need to find the data just for your area. So I would start with the Luxury Institute. And a lot of it, I think you can just go to the MLS and pull up a lot of the data. You can pull up what all the homes in the top 10% of your price range sold for in the last 3 years and see what the average price has done. You can see the days on market. You can see if the number of sales is increased or decreased. So back to just getting the raw data and just interpreting it.
Excellent. Good advice. Good advice. Both you, Anthony, and Julie are private coaching clients of Workman Success Systems. I wanted to point that out. I'm a coach with Workman Success Systems as well. The free bonus gifts that will be available to you, and you can download them just by going to workmansuccess.com/listing mastery. It's right there at the bottom of your screen. You'll be able to access 5 steps to investing in real estate. That's something provided compliments of Entrust. You'll be able to provide a summary of the DISC assessment, which helps you understand easily what Julie was talking about doing in terms of understanding personalities and working with them the right way. Also, she mentioned the greatest salesman in the world, and that is a photograph of the 10 scrolls that she uses to help her remember what's important to her in life and also helps her relate to other people. Then you've got some high-end marketing materials that Anthony has provided, and then also an example of Anthony's statistics and all of that other good stuff. You can download that by going to workmansuccess.com/listing mastery. I want to thank RISMedia for setting up the webinar, making all the arrangements. I want to thank Patrick with Entrust. Thank you very much for sponsoring and for your insights you shared on the call. And on behalf of RISMedia, I hope everybody has a good rest of the day Wednesday and a fantastic remainder of your week. Thanks for joining in.